I remember in my final years of high school, all of my boys around me, they'd be playing sports all the time. They'd be going to the gym after school. They'd be studying to get good grades. They'd be applying for jobs and just in general having a good time, enjoying the last few years of high school. And I would always try and fit in with all my boys, but no matter how hard I tried to study, I would never get the grades I wanted. I would try to play some sports, but I was always terrible, no athletic ability inside of me. And I would be applying to jobs all the time, but I wouldn't be getting hired. And it just felt like I was always one step behind everybody around me. I'd be comparing myself to my classmates all the time, and I'd be saying to myself, I'm such a loser. I have so much stuff that I have to do to catch up to everyone around me because I'm so far behind that what's even the point in trying? At this point, my mental health also started to degrade. I got very depressed. I was super anxious. I hated myself, and I just in general felt like a loser and stuck. But guess what? Later on down the line, I would go to beat my depression and my anxiety within just 2 weeks. After suffering from bad mental health for years and years, I joined a bodybuilding gym and started going consistently and actually started to gain strength and muscle. After pushing past my fear, I also ended up joining an MMA gym and starting getting good at a sport. I found myself a stable job where I'm making a decent money to pay the bills, and I even had the courage to start a little side hustle to make some extra income on the side. Slowly but surely, after feeling like such a loser and feeling so behind in life, I all of a sudden rocket shipped my way and caught up to everyone around me. And one day, I just sat down to myself and reflected back on all the progress that I made in the past, comparing myself to the person I used to be to the guy I am now. And I saw that it only took a couple months actually to make all this progress. It didn't take 5, 10, 20 years to make all this progress to catch up to everybody around me. It only took a couple months. It does not take nowhere near the amount of time that you probably imagine to completely transform your life and catch up to everybody around you. But what it does take is a lot of effort, and just like me, you probably are using the time as an excuse to not put in the effort to change your life. And I'm not judging you. I used to do the exact same thing. I'd be wanting to make progress. I'd be sitting there and thinking, oh, it'd be so nice. If I had big muscles, it would be pretty nice. If I had money and I could buy a car for once and don't have to borrow my parents' car all the time, that would be pretty nice, wouldn't it? But it's going to take so long. It doesn't take long at all. I told you, I beat my depression in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. People go in therapy for years and years and don't beat the depression. I did it myself in 2 weeks. It's pretty easy to make progress. And you know what? That feeling you have that you're behind everybody, you need to catch up to everybody, you feel so behind in life, that is the best possible thing that could have happened to you. I'm speaking for myself. If I was raised properly, if I played all the sports when I was young and won all the awards, if I actually studied and I ended up getting good grades, getting into a good university with a good degree, I would have been a completely different person to who I am today. I would not be thinking about my future. I would not be thinking, oh, what goals do I want to achieve? What's my life purpose? Why am I here on this earth? I would not be thinking those stuff, because if I was raised properly, I'm speaking for myself here, I know my stupid brain would have been like, my life's perfect. I'm just gonna do and continue what I'm doing now. It's worked in the past. Why wouldn't I stop doing it? And I would have stagnated. And guess what? I would have probably stayed that little version of myself without ever growing. Me not living that optimal, for lack of a better term, that optimal childhood, me not living that optimal life, and started to get that feeling that I'm so behind in life. That feeling is what made me able to skyrocket and make so much progress in a just short amount of time. In a weird twist of fate, the life I live now, with the burden of I need to catch up to all these people around me and carrying that chip on my shoulder, this version of me is so much more further ahead compared to the guy who lived the optimal life. Isn't that crazy? It was better for me to have this feeling that I'm so far behind in life, and actually being super far behind and feeling to myself, I have something I gotta prove to everyone around me. I have stuff that I have to prove to myself, that I am worthy of the car, I am worthy of the nice income, I am worthy of my freedom. And if you're still watching this video, I know it's the exact same for you. That burning feeling you have, that you have something to prove, that you are so far behind in life and you have to prove everybody wrong. That feeling is potent fuel, but only if you use it. In the same sense, you could also succumb to that feeling. You can just give up on life. It's kind of like the analogy of, the abusive dad with the two sons. One of the sons becomes the crack addict because of his abusive dad, and then the other son becomes a really, really good father because of his abusive dad. Same scenario, but just the way you process the information, the way you frame the situation, it can be very potent fuel. In an ironic twist of fate, feeling behind is amazing, but it's only amazing if you use the fuel properly and you put the work towards catching up to everybody.